And welcome back to Daily Wrap. It's potluck time. This is the part of the show we go around the table, share our favorite stories of the day. I'm going first today. You know why? Because it's my show.
Because you want to.
Yeah. No. Alphabetical, actually. C, Concha.
There you
yes.
go.
And that's that. So anyway, is it time, Rick Unger and Heather and Lisa, for the Electoral College to go? And here's why I asked this question. We always hear that America decides. In November of 2016, it will be the next president, right? America doesn't decide anymore. Who decides? Very easy. The people of Florida, the people of Virginia, the people of Ohio, and then your random state you want to throw in, New Hampshire, Iowa, Colorado. There's always that fourth state that's a variable. But basically those three states will decide who the next president is. The last election, 2012, Mitt Romney didn't lose by a couple million votes or 4 or 5 percentage points. He lost by 330,000 votes across 4 states, right? Yeah. Those 4. If those 4 went in his direction, the 4th was New Hampshire, then he's the president of the United States despite losing the popular vote. So I wanted to ask this today of particularly you two, because you're lawyers, and Lisa, obviously your opinion means everything.
Thank you.
Why does the Electoral College exist when clearly now it has outworn its welcome when it's going to come down to those 4 states?
Well, I can tell you why it exists. The why it exists is because when this country was founded, there was considerable worry that small states would be ignored if there wasn't the Electoral College. And by the way, there's some truth to it. If you're a television station in New Hampshire, you're not happy with the idea of the Electoral College going away because no one's going to buy advertising there anymore. No, that's very real.
So you mentioned small states being ignored, right?
That's
Now, you know what the irony is now?
that they control it.
No.
What?
That the biggest states get ignored.
Right.
California,
No, that's true.
New
New
York,
York.
Texas,
That's right.
the
because,
3 biggest
because they're already gone.
They will not set
Right.
foot in those states.
They're already
They don't
gone.
have
That's
to.
very true.
Right.
So, but also keep this in mind, and I understand why people want to do away with it, but there's only been one election in our lifetime where the Electoral College result.
Let me guess. Where the Electoral College
Was
result
different
than the popular vote?
Yeah.
That was obviously 2000. Gore Bush.
I have no idea.
Score Bush. Yeah.
Look at that. We did not practice that, I swear.
Without,
that would
without
make the most
Florida,
sense.
you know,
my
Florida,
20s
Right.
Florida were the
Right.
votes
Yeah.
that made the difference.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Al
right.
Gore had already won the popular.
Okay, I want Heather's thoughts real quick because I don't want to step on the next potluck.
Well, I just think that if you did the popular vote, California would get all the attention. There's never a fair way, and so the idea was to make sure that poor little Rhode Island wasn't overlooked in this whole process. There's no perfect way. You could start splitting the states up into districts. And there's different ways to maybe fix it, but it's never going to be perfect.
So keep it because why bother?
Well, and it's history. It's and it would be difficult to change under the
Part
law
of the fabric of America.
of our country. It's true.
Yeah. Our 3 straight
But
country.
individual votes would matter more in terms of if the popular vote were.
The truth
as
is, there's
we
no
s-
point in voting if you live in New York.
Right, if you live in New
because-
York and you already know the state has gone in one direction, it's like, how
I would
much does
just
my
love-
vote matter?
I would love to see the campaign because they'd have to go to North Dakota and they'd have to go to
Yeah,
all
they
these
would.
states,
Yeah,
right?
they don't want
And all
to.
these
It would
campaign
make-
gurus would be kicked out,
That's right.
right? Because there is no strategy anymore. Just get the most votes. Anyway, our next potluck is up and it's Heather Hansen.
We have a major problem in prisons right now where there's been a real issue of radicalization of inmates, Muslim radicalization, Islam radicalization of inmates. And in 2003, the Senate Subcommittee on Terrorism talked about the problem of vetting the chaplains who were being oftentimes paid, sometimes volunteers, but oftentimes paid to come in and provide religion services to the inmates, being the vehicle of radicalization. And they talked about it in 2003, and they talked about how are we going to vet these people to ensure that the people who are coming in are not radicalizing the inmates. Nothing was done. In 2011, in front of the Department of Homeland Security, there was another whole big thing about this. We need to better vet the people who are coming in. Nothing was done. Now, in the meantime, there have been a number, and there's an article today, I saw this as an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today, and they go through various people who have left prisons and ended up committing crimes or trying to plan terrorist attacks after having been radicalized in jail. And my question is, why have not we vetted these people, found a way to better vet the people who are going in and to keep the radical literature out of the prisons? You know, we talk about religious freedom in our first part of this case, this day, our show tonight, and yet we're not controlling religious freedom, and instead we're allowing these people to go into prisons, talk to these people, and the results are deadly.
Right, we know it's a hotbed for radicalization. Why isn't something, as you said, why isn't something being done? How are these people allowed to come in without anything known on their background or what they are intending to do, and then looking at the prisoners themselves and what is happening.
Well, and they're being chosen by apparently different Islamic groups that are perhaps questionable, according to this article. So I don't know the answer, but I do know that there has to be a better way. There's got to be vetting of these people. They're being paid to go in and preach to the prisoners, and what they're preaching is terrorism in many instances. So it's a real problem.
Wow, Heather, that was tremendous.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
Because you said religious freedom, if that's what the prisoners want to hear.
Right. Well, this Wall Street Journal article is well worth reading.
Yep. And there was religious freedom, and it is still at Gitmo. That's the irony, right? They practice whatever they want. Anyway, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, more potluck for you, including Rick's. It says in prompter using my own, but for once I went first. So, Daily Wrap, Newsmax, back in a moment. And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. I'm your host, Joe Concha. If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of our potluck, where we're sharing our favorite stories of the day. LJ, you are up next. What are you serving up?
Well, there's a new study that raises concerns about kids having, and I mean children, not necessarily teens, having sips of wine or beer, and primarily given to them by parents. And what this study says, it is by the Journal of Studies on Alcohol and Drugs, that children who had sipped alcohol by the 6th grade were 5 times more likely to have a full drink by the time they were in high school, and 4 times more likely to binge drink or get drunk. And sometimes parents think, oh, what is a sip of try this, they're at a party, and we're in our home, and I'm giving it to you. But what this study has found, one of the theories is that when it's offered by a parent, it kind of sends the message that drinking is okay. And we're talking about in this country, because we talked about this a little bit before, we're not talking about kids in France or in Italy where it's wine and it's part of dinner. We're talking about parents that, and there are parents that think it's okay for kids to have this. If it's in their home and they're giving it to them, it's okay. And this study is saying that there's concern for that, for giving a child even sips of alcohol.
I'm trying to get my head around a parent doing that with a 5th grader. I get the whole bonding with your son thing at a Yankee game when he's 15 and maybe we'll share a beer kind of thing, right? When they're in 5th grade, what are you thinking? Now, I'm not saying every parent is an alcoholic that does that. Are they trying to, because beer tastes horrible when you're a kid. Is that the approach? Like, let's give them a couple sips, they'll come to hate it?
I think that is sometimes the
I think sometimes parents think that. I think sometimes parents think, oh, it's not a big deal. Or, and we talked about this before, even for older kids. I think a lot of parents want to be their kids' friends and pals and think it's okay.
5th grade, that's not being your friend's pal. High school, you're trying to be your friend's pal, which is also a bad idea. But at 5th grade, I think you're just asking for trouble.
Now, Heather, you binge drink now. What led to this behavior exactly?
I actually
was 3rd grade.
My mother would die because I was not allowed to touch anything ever. But I do think what happens sort of is there's this idea that if I offer them a sip, it won't be so sexy. It won't be such an unknown. They'll have tasted it. It won't be so attractive because it's always the thing that's hidden behind the door.
It turns out they like it.
It turns out that they like it, or that they think that.
Or I think that they think, according to this study, that by the parent giving it to them, there's something okay about that, because my parent wouldn't offer me something that's going to cause me harm.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I think that study will probably be some follow-up to that to figure out, what is the best way. Because now you know what not to do, but do you allow your teenagers at what age? And, parenting, I'm not a parent, but it's hard.
Sure, I don't have to worry about this for, at least 10 years.
You're still watching.
Another couple of years.
Yeah, I think the key is that the beer you're serving is really what's important here. So if you serve Keystone, for instance, they will hate it. They will never have it.
You give them Rolling Rock, they're going to have a problem.
Right, Natural Light,
that's it.
right, Olympia, right, all those, they will never drink a sip of beer again. But if they're giving them the good stuff, the champagne of beers like Budweiser or Michelob,
then that's what turns them.
It's over. Yeah, so we'll have to dig deeper into that study to see exactly what's being served to these children. Rick, what are you serving up?
Oh, my goodness. Once upon a time, about 4 days ago, we all thought that everything was settled in the United States Senate with the Democrats. Harry Reid had announced his retirement. Chuck Schumer was going to be the new big kahuna of the Democratic Party in the Senate. And we thought, and Dick Durbin thought, that there had been a little bit of a deal made. Durbin, who's actually first in line to follow Reid, had agreed that he would step aside and let Chuck Schumer jump over him and take the leadership, but in return, Chuck Schumer would endorse Durbin to keep his current job as the number 2, which is the whip. Well, Schumer doesn't see it quite that way. It turns out Schumer's now saying, I never made that deal. That's not what we shook on. And now Schumer's making noise that he might want to support Patty Murray, the senator from Washington State. So you know that peace, love, all that stuff the Democrats were playing as they were getting ready for next year when Harry Reid goes away? Not so fast. Is Chuck Schumer? My question, is Chuck Schumer already showing himself to be a guy you can't trust?
Well, it begs the question, is there some personal animosity between the two
Well,
of
it's
them?
very interesting. The two of them used to be very close friends. They were roommates in Washington for years. And the stress between
Roommates,
them...
they couldn't afford their own apartment?
No,
They often
most
do that. No, they
senators
often
can't.
do
There's
that.
usually 3
Yeah.
or 4 to an apartment.
Can
Yeah.
2 Democratic bachelors
Well,
share an
there's
apartment
Sounds like a
without
sitcom.
driving each other crazy?
There's a
Sounds like a
TV show.
sitcom.
There's political animals, whatever it is, on Amazon. But they were very close. And then when this started to get closer a couple of years back, and they were becoming competitive for leadership, they kind of ruptured.
Who do you believe?
They're
Or do you
politicians.
not?
I
You're
don't
not
believe
sure.
either of
Believe
them.
You're not
anybody,
sure.
I don't
yeah.
believe either of them. They're politicians.
If
Wow.
they can't work together, then it's not for anybody's good to have
Well,
them there
that's the
together.
problem. If they have this bad relationship, I think
Right.
that's the point.
Right.
Does Chuck Schumer really want his number 2 guy not
Right.
being
Need
somebody
somebody
he
that-
can
yeah.
trust?
Wouldn't it be great if they destroyed each other and then Patty Murray?
Patty
Yeah,
Murray.
there you go.
Yeah.
Boom.
She
Anyway.
thinks it would be great. Yeah.
Probably. And that's all the time we have for our potluck. But when we come back, it's yay or nay. This is the Daily Wrap, and it's only on Newsmax TV.